Hey guys, into the end here. It's December 10th. We're one third of the way into December. I'm still in Diamond in draft. I have not been doing well. I've been doing some crappy drafts. So yeah, we're like at the beginning of Diamond. So let's see if we get a better draft today and get ourselves some wins. I like this stranger. 7 power 6 6 is pretty okay for body, but if you draft it as a first pick and you build around it, it can be very powerful. Um, but with that said, I've drafted Stranger decks before. Sometimes they don't come together. It's very risky because you absolutely really need the good Stranger Lords, like Battle Test the Stranger and Time, and those are uncommon, so they're not always going to be available. And even if they're available, someone else might have taken them. I'm actually looking more at these two cards here. I think this is the best Time common, and this is the best Fire common. So these are the basically the premium picks of this pack. And I think this card is obviously more powerful in terms of brute force and brute strength, whereas the Archive Curator is much more flexible and silencing is very flexible in a sense that it can deal with pretty much any gimmick in the game. It flies, it blocks flyers. It also lends itself to more strategies, whereas the Cannon Bear pretty much is just going to be some kind of a top end finisher. Whereas the Curator can be, I mean, it's an earlier game play. I think it allows you to draft more archetypes than the Cannon Bear, especially because it's a 4 drop and it's also a single influence requirement card, so you can actually splash this if you have to. So I think the Curator is just more flexible than a Cannon Bear, so we're gonna go for the Curator. Although, with that said, I have done a lot of drafts where I first picked this card. I think I value this card very highly, and more highly than most people would, and as a result of it, we end up in time a lot. But then again, everything I said is true though. Like, what if we don't end up playing time or fire? In which case, we can still splash this card, whereas there's no way you can splash the Cannon Bear if you don't end up in primarily fire. So I think this card is just better in every way. A Highwind Glider is a very powerful card and I like it a lot, but it is very slow, and it's to my experiences, if you have a deck that drags the game out that long, then I think somewhere along the draft things have not gone very well. I would prefer to finish someone off in the mid game rather than waiting into the late game drawing drawing 1 card per turn by paying 5. But also the Curator beats the Glider because it silences it. So, and this is much more flexible because once again it's cheaper and it's also a splashable card. So let's go ahead and grab that. Ooh, Library Phoenix is pretty neat. I like Bolster a lot. I like Mortar a lot, and I like the Library Phoenix. Library Phoenix is not super amazing, but it does a lot for you. On turn 4, 2/2, I mean it's a blocker. It's not horrendous, but passively reducing your cards by spell by 1 helps a lot. When you're kind of going to the mid game where you're fighting over board position, having a 3 or 4 power spell cost 1 or 0 is a big deal. And of course, being able to fly in the end of the game and making it a 5/2 is really good. A lot of games in draft is going to be finished by evasive threats, just like this one. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that, rather than staying on color and picking Bolster, because we don't know that we're in time yet. We know that there's a green card, a red card, a black card, a blue card, and a time card. So nothing is... There's no signals to be read. Someone took an uncommon. Yeah, let's just grab the Library Phoenix here. Over... not much else. Also rare. It's an interesting rare, so we can play with it. I don't really care about any of the commons. Piercing Grief is fine. I think it's very good if you can draft deck around it. But the problem is, the kind of deck that you want to draft with Piercing Grief, you wouldn't know if they're open into the second pack. So if you're picking it now, it's nothing more than a speculative pick, and that's kind of weak. It's too bad. If the deck order was different and you had the second and fourth pack before the first and third pack, then you can then see if this archetype is available. Typically, a lot of sacrifice outlets, a lot of revenge units, right? With sacrifice outlets, um, and then like get a bunch of ravenous thorn beasts, and you get a bunch of that one power, fire and shadow influence, sacrifice a unit, destroy a unit, those kind of cards. Um, so with that said, I think the two stranger is most likely going to be the best picks, just because they'll make it into any deck. But with that said, I am kind of not in a rush. Yeah, I'm not in a rush to go into Masters, and this really lends itself to a really fun deck. You know, I think you guys are pretty sick of seeing me pick Praxis. Praxis is the most popular draft faction, I think, and I've personally done many drafts and videos with Praxis and Go 7X, and it's a powerful archetype. I understand that, but how often do we get to do fun things? I mean, we're in Diamond. We're not in a rush to get the Masters. Let's just go for this as a speculative pick. I mean, we're giving up two strangers, but the strangers are fine, but they're not amazing, so we're not giving up a lot. Let's see what happens. There's also no time cards in the last pack, by the way. That's worth noting. Time may very well be cut. In fact, there's also no good time cards this pack, so time is most definitely being cut. 2 packs in a row with no time. Red might even be cut because these are not great cards. So it's looking like to me, Justice is very open, and then Primal and Shadow is. I don't know. This is a sign. Actually, none of these cards are good, so none of these are signs. But we do know that Justice is most likely open. So why don't we go and see if we can pick some kind of a revenge-centric deck? You know, it'll be fun. Let's just try it. I mean, ooh, Minotaur Lifehoof is very good. Wow, but so is Roland's Choice. Both of these cards are really good. You know what? Screw these colors. Let's just go for black and green. Black and green are definitely open. Time is super cut. We've seen 3 packs now with no time cards, so that first cut pick is gone. Fire still seems to be open though. Yeah, it's gonna be between the Lifehoof and the Roland's Choice. These two cards are significantly higher on power level compared to everything else in this pack. Actually, much higher, like 2 or 3 times more powerful than everything else here. I think I'm gonna get the Minotaur Lifehoof over the Roland's Choice. But Roland's Choice is really good. Wow, this is a tough pick. This is a really tough pick. 4 power, 4 force. You know what? I'm gonna take the Roland's Choice. The choice is just too good. The fact that it has 2 modes, both modes being very relevant, I think it's just edge over the Lifehoof by a tiny bit, perhaps? I don't know. This allows us to splash blue if we need to. That's not bad. Or it allows us to splash blue. The Lathrai Memory Keeper is a pretty good blocker, actually. I'm actually just gonna take this. This card has somewhat impressed me lately. Oh, there's a good stranger. And there's also a good weapon. Ooh, there's also a revenge unit. If we're going revenge... but this is such a crappy revenge unit. It's so bad. I think the Scepter here is probably our best pick. I think the Savage Stranger is fine, but you also incidentally give your opponent a lot of value because they'll play Mana Fixing Strangers as well. And no matter how big this unit gets, it'll always get blocked by a 3/3. So that's one massive strike against it. I mean, you can do some gimmicky combos like giving it unblockable and trying to kill your opponent in one turn after like it becomes a 20-3. But that's very unlikely to happen. It dies to pretty much any removal spell. I'm just gonna take the Scepter here. Scepter is quite good. Ooh, nothing here. What am I more likely to splash? This blue thing or this time thing? If I do splash, I'm actually more inclined to splash time because I have the Archive Curator. Yeah, I'll just take this. I don't think I'll play the Cupbearer. Cupbearer is not great. Ooh. Oh, green is super open. So is blue, though. Yeah. I know that I said that let's go for Revenge theme, but this is not the best Revenge unit, and this is a very good 2-drop, so let's just grab that. Threatened is actually playable when you have a bunch of Revenge units, because Revenge, any kind of buff that you use onto a unit to give it a permanent to augment their stats permanently or giving a new skill works really well with Revenge because you get it back and you keep the skill. But I think we're just gonna slam the stand together here. We're already thinking of splashing time for the curator, and splashing time for stand together is just a slam dunk. This card's so powerful. I mean, over pretty much nothing else. The Slumbering Stone is probably fine if we make a sacrifice deck. Minotaur Grunt is perfectly fine. Privilege of the Ranks is fine. Yeah, this is a good blocker. But yeah, nothing comes close to the power level of Stand Together. This card's absurd. We're gonna make every effort to splash time. Or if we have to, we can just get rid of black. We don't like our shadow cards are pretty bad. We could actually be Combre at this point. That's a good card too. Nothing here is worth playing. I guess we'll just take the Tanker Overseer. It has a somewhat passive, not passive. It has a synergy with Talon, but that's not likely to come up very much. Oh, also Scepter. Yeah, let's take the 2-power 2/2 flyer is also. What is with this? That's kind of funny. What are the odds of getting 2 in a row? Yeah, we'll take them both. It's a fine card. 2-power 2/2 flyers are already playable on their own. In fact, very playable. There's very few other cards that are 2-power, and it's a flying unit and it has 4 stats. Like, yeah, this is good. I really like Rapid Shot. I like this card quite a bit, but I mean, we'll just take the perfectly playable 2 mana 2/2 over it. Now we get the Rapid Shot. I'm happy picking up this Rapid Shot actually, but then again, I would be really happy picking up the Combre Stranger. All right, I'm gonna take the Combat Stranger because combat tricks are great, and this is one of the best combat tricks, sure. But so is splashing these 2 cards, and I think having great mana is more important to me than having a combat trick that may or may not be relevant in a game because it is conditional. You need units in play, and you also need something worth killing. Because like if you attack your 2/2 into his 2/2, are you really gonna use a Rapid Shot to kill it? And even if you attack your 2/2 into his 3/3, are you gonna use a Rapid Shot to kill a 3/3? Like this card is most valuable when you have a giant unit and he's double tripping blocking your unit and this blows him out. Or if you have a small unit attacking into one of his big units. Otherwise, if the board's at somewhat parity, this card is not quite as good. Whereas color fixing is always good. Ooh, Grim Stranger. I mean, we're not blue, so we can't use this card, but Alright. I'm at a point where I am not going to be Shadow anymore. We're just going to splash Roland's Choice because our Combre cards is going to far outstrip the power level of our Argenport cards. This late of an Awakened Student is a sign. That also means on the 4th pack, if there are any Awakened Students, we're going to get them as well. And Awakened Students is very powerful. Yeah, very easy pick there. The Ceremonial Mask is also very good. Wow, we actually have a lot of really good cards that combos really well with our 2 rares here. The Sauropod Wrangler is fine if you're main time, but we're actually not, and we don't have any 5-power units. The Hatchling is very good, but we currently don't have any way to splash blue. And yeah, we're not going to splash any of these black cards. Not good enough. We're just going to go ahead and grab this mask. This mask is quite good. This opens us to a red splash if we ever want to. I think the fixing in banner is better than the fixing in a unit. Because ideally, in a perfect deck, you would have all your fixing in your power sources. And then you just have really good 2-drops that have special abilities. You don't want to play a 2-drop for no other reason than fixing, unless you can help it. Unless you couldn't help it, sorry. Safe Return I like a lot as well, because once you give something Aegis and you return it to your hand, it'll refresh the Aegis as well. So it's actually really powerful. I actually don't know what happens if you Safe Return something that has triggered Revenge already. I suspect when you play it again, the Revenge will be refreshed, so you can Revenge again. This is what I'm guessing. but I guess that's not as relevant. But save return on an archive creator is also very good, allowing you to silence an extra time while saving one of your units. I think I want one copy of these in my deck, but I think I can pick it up later because we can see already that Combray is super open. I mean, we have a Combray Stranger, a Combray Banner, and a Combray card, and a really late Awakened Student, all of which points towards the fact that Combray is open. So we're really lucky. Our fixing in this deck is going to be amazing. We can definitely splash another color, and I'm actually going to start thinking about that now by picking up this Backlash. We saw a very late Hatchling, so we know that Elysian is also potentially open. This is actually a very playable 2-drop. We'll grab that. Yeah, I think we can splash blue. Because our fixing is already amazing. We have 2 Combray Stranger, which is both on color, and a Combray Banner already. So I think this deck... Ooh, a Beckoning Lumen. We have no way to gain life currently. But what else am I going to take? Like, definitely not the Cult Aspirant. Especially because we have the same problem, no way to gain life. Cyclops is really good. This is fine, I don't love it. Extract is very good, of course, but we're not splashing a double black card. We're not splashing an Ice Bow in this deck, I don't think. Zen Stranger opens up to a black splash, but I don't think any of our black cards are good enough to splash anyway. Yeah, we're just gonna grab this Beckoning Lumen and just keep our eyes open for any ways to gain life later. Ooh, nothing to grab yet. But if I pick up any kind of I guess the only 1-drop we'll play in this deck is the Valkyrie Aspirant, which we might pick up on the 4th pack, but we've seen 0 so far, just to keep that in mind. Even though it is a common. Or Minotaur Oathkeepers, which I've also seen 0 copies of in the past 2 packs. Zenith Initiation is actually a very good removal spell. I think I'm just going to take that over the Press Gang because this is a speculative pick. We don't even know if we'll have a hit with it yet. That's kind of dangerous. Whereas the Zenith Initiation is going to be very good in our deck. We have actually some pretty high power units and decent sized body in the early game, and this is going to grow. I think the Zenith Initiation is going to be better. Let's grab that. We are very lacking in removal spell, by the way. We need some kind of hard removal for our deck. Here, the only option is these 2, and I think my deck is good enough that I'm not going to need to splash, well, especially black, because we have no good black cards. So let's just grab this unit here. Oh, actually, no, this gives us... Oh, actually, this opens us up to a blue splash. We have tons of 2-drops already. We don't need another one, right? This really opens us up to a blue splash in case we ever want to splash the Backlash or a Hatchling that we very well may get next pack. I mean, this is playable, but I've never been super impressed by this card. Let's just grab the Banner. Okay, now I think we want to grab the Bolster. Bolster is going to be very good in this pack. And also, coincidentally, works with Beckoning Lumen. Snap pick. Oh, perfect. This card also worked with Beckoning Lumen. And over pretty much nothing here. So, and our 2-drop slot's getting really healthy here. Ooh, that is something worth splashing for. That is definitely something worth splashing for. Is it too late to splash red? We have no red splashes so far. We only picked up a Horu Banner, so we can potentially splash the Skywalk Instructor, which I'm not super excited about. I'm not excited about any of these cards, except I'm going to take the Noble Firemane as a speculative pick. Oh, actually, if we want to splash Roland's Choice, we need a black. So that's a reason for using black. Oh, I forgot about the Roland's Choice. It's a very good card. So now we have a speculative blue splash, pending what comes in the next pack. We have a pretty damn good black splash, which we have kind of moved away from because we gave up on all the black splash strangers, which is kind of unfortunate. And we also have a potential speculative fire splash. All right, let's grab it. We'll see what happens. So definitely not taking this, although it combos really well with Beckoning Lumen. Can't take the blue card. I think we just take the Praxis Banner here with a speculative Noble Firemane splash, because Noble Fireman is very powerful when you have a deck full of really good 2-drops. Definitely better than these things here. Skeeter is too weak on its own, and using if I was a Zenin deck and I needed a way to enable the Beckoning Lumen, I would take this, but as a splash, it is far too weak. Like you have to go through the risk of inconsistency in power base, chances of drawing this card and not having your shadow, or drawing your shadow but not this card, and you got influence screwed in a different color. Like there's so much inconsistencies that you can open yourself up to, and it's just not powerful enough to warrant that kind of risk, right? So let's just take the banner here. Another Horu banner. Oh man, Dragon Breath is also very good. What do we do now? What do we do now? I'm going to skip on the Dragon Breath, I guess. We actually don't have too many high power units. Only have really just the one. Yeah, no, I'll skip on the Dragon Breath. We'll grab this Horu banner. Now we're really open to a blue splash with 2 Horu banners. I'm still not going to take the Dragon Breath, by the way. I'm going to take an Envelop. Envelop is actually a pretty good trick to have one in your deck. I've actually lost to this card before. We're not going to splash that. Now we're back to the black splash potential here. Crap, what do we do? We have 1 really good red splash, 2 really good black splashes. Well, not really good. 1 really good black splash and 1 okay black splash. How many strangers do I have? Not very many. 2, to be exact. So splashing blue for this seems weak. Actually, when a player plays a stranger. So this works for my opponent too. That's a definite no-no. Okay, so if we're splashing red, this is by far the best card in the pack. If we if we're splashing blue, then this is the best card. If we're not splashing anything, then I think one of these 2 cards is the best. Oh man. I think what I'm gonna do is pick one of these 2 green cards. Because they're pretty. Actually, I think I'm just gonna pick the Valkyrie Aspirant here because the Crown Wedge Paladin is very easily blocked in draft. Chances are it won't get through. But with that said, we don't have any way to pump this thing, so we actually don't have any way to take advantage of the 1 damage in the air. I guess we can pump it with Roland's Choice, but that seems pretty weak sauce. Wow, we don't have a good pick in here. We don't have any good picks. Fireblast. Torch is such a good card, man. I have 1 Praxis Banner. I don't think that's enough. Yeah, it's not enough. This 3-drop is likely going to be a 3/3 or 4/4 in our deck, though. There's always that. I'm gonna take this Valkyrie Aspirant. A very uninspiring first pick. Very uninspiring. Yep, can't splash double blue. Dark Return is quite good, but don't want to splash for that. Ooh, Diplomatic Seal can be very good in our deck. But Elysian Pathfinder has to be the pick, right? No, we have a lot of really crappy units that I can hit Echo with, but I guess this is still the same as drawing a new card. And the Seal is quite good. But I think the Pathfinder has a little bit more value in my deck. I'm gonna go ahead and grab that over pretty much nothing else. The green card is fine, but I don't love it. We're not splashing for the camo here. Elysian Pathfinder it is. Ooh, Arcana Outlaw is good. That is a card worth splashing for, I think. Like, imagine getting an Echo on your stand together, or a Zenith Initiation, or Roland's Choice. Oh man, so many good hits in this. Even Bolster. Wow, there's so many good hits. Well, I guess if we're splashing blue, then we won't be. Then we won't have the Roland's Choice. But there's so many good hits for this card. Jeez. Or I can get another Valkyrie Aspirant. My deck is looking ultra aggressive, with a lot of good 1 and 2 drops. Yeah, you know what? Let's just keep our curve low. Another Pathfinder. I think at this point, I don't want any more Path. I don't know. Bright Mace Paladin is fine, but we don't really have a way to pump it. Just the Rebel Roasters and they'll stand together and nothing else. Is that better than another Pathfinder? Our 5-drops are getting kind of heavy here. And having another early game aggressive threat is not bad. I'm actually going to take the Bright Mace Paladin over the second Pathfinder for curve considerations. We have a lot of 1s and 2s, but we have no 3s almost. I'm going to take the 3 here. Protect is pretty decent. But so is just getting a Dispel. Getting a Dispel, drawing a card, negating an opponent's threat is pretty good. We don't have any like super amazing units that we have to protect. We have no bombs. I'm actually okay picking with the spell here. 1 copy of the spell. Ooh, Pillar of Amar. Damn, but our deck is so early game and so aggressive. We're still gonna pick it because we already have a couple of weapons, so we don't need the Mithril Mace. And we're not gonna play Inspire in our deck. Safe Return is fine, but I think having 1 game-ending thread where like we have a fairly early game aggressive deck, and if for whatever reason our game plan fails and we stall out, then this is another way to finish off the game. It gives us a small fighting chance when a game is dragged out longer. Whereas without something like this, once the game drags out longer, I think we just lose. So I think 1/7 drop like this is probably okay. I think I'll take the Stalwart Shield over the Zenin Guardian. The Stalwart Shield has a lot of value when I have a bunch of flyers, and now I picked up a Bright Mace Paladin. I think the Stalwart Shield has increased in stock, especially because with that in play, the Scepter of Nobility is only 3 to play. I think that edges it out in front of the Zenin Guardian by a little bit, just a little bit. Yeah, we have nothing that we can cast with this. We're just gonna get the Arch Import Soldier here. None of these cards would be in our deck. If we're splashing blue, we're not gonna play it. We're not gonna splash a 2-drop, right? Wow, what is this? I really want this Acolyte like a lot, but I think I really want this 6/5. But I really want this Acolyte. Jeez. The Acolyte makes splashing such a reality. Like all of a sudden, with the Acolyte, all of a sudden, like the Noble Firemane is a very real reality. The Roland's Choice and the Announcer is also possible. Although the blue is not possible anymore because we didn't draw any blue cards after that point. But maybe 1 Flash Freeze is okay. Actually, 2 Flash Freeze might win us the game with a really, really aggressive deck. I guess the question is, do I go all in on the early game aggression here now? Or do I say, nope, let's go a little bit later. Because we have now picked up some pretty decent late game spells. Wow, this is one of the hardest picks I've had so far. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We have 11 cards that are 1 or 2. You know what? We're going to keep our curve low. We're going to go aggressive. And we're going to see if we can win the game really early. Actually, for the early game plan, we are missing some combat tricks. Because once your opponent plays 2/2s and 3/3s, our units can no longer attack. In fact, and we have very few tricks that allows us to get through an opponent's 2/2 or 3/3 blocker. No, I'm gonna go for the. I can't go early game with this deck. I don't think. Last pick, Awakened Student. Yeah, so Combray is open. It's just I think no Awakened Students got opened. I mean, we got a last pick one. Yeah, so I think if I wanted to go with the early game aggressive game plan, what I really needed to do was pick up some Finest Hours and Strength of Minis. I needed the combat tricks for that to work. Maybe even Synchronized Strikes. But because I have no tricks, I think trying to go all in aggro early game is not going to work because as soon as your opponent goes to the mid game and plays 3/3s, 4/4s, 5/5s, all of your 2/2s and 3/3s are useless. So I don't think that's going to work. I'm not going to play the Camp Decision, I don't think. Uh-oh. Barely enough playables here. Um, I think at this point we don't get to splash the fire main. Is that correct? Yeah, let's put the fire main there and see if it's even possible. Yeah, let's see if it's possible. Um, this is a. I think this is an 18 card deck probably. Um, because we do have a few expensive cards here, and we do like to get 8 power for the aspirants as well. So, and we also have two things that wants us to not miss power drops. So 18 power means cutting 2 cards. I guess it just makes sense to cut the normal fire main. Can I make it work with the noble fire main in here? Let's just not risk it. So we have a really low curve on 1 and 2s, and then it goes from 2 to like 4 and 5. I think there is enough synergy with the Beckoning Lumen to be worth it. Even the 4 power 5/3 on its own is worth playing, right? 5 damage is quite a bit. You bolster it, becomes a 5/5, you draw a card off of it. That's actually really strong. Um, I do like to dispel 1 copy, because I don't have any real removal spells. I just have a bounce spell, and then like a really weak pseudo removal, and then like a removal that may or may not kill the opponent, the units, depending on the size of my unit. Like a pseudo like removal in silence and another silence, and that's all I got. And then 2 more weapons that are like, 3 damage, 4 damage. I don't have anything that can deal with large units. That's kind of problematic. That's really problematic. That's definitely our weakest link in this deck is we can't deal with giant units. What else do we cut here? It might be the envelop. Envelop is really bad when you're trying to attack. But I feel like having one of these effects in a deck is not that bad. With 19 units, 4 attachments, and 5 spells, all of our attachments are fine, so we want to keep those. All of our spells, I think, are really good too, so I think we'll keep the spells. I guess in this point, we just have to cut some kind of a unit. Maybe one of the Rebel Rousters? We picked up 2 because we were thinking of going like Argenport, Gimmick, Revenge, but clearly our deck is not Argenport Gimmick Revenge anymore. We don't have too many ways to take advantage of the Revenge here. But another thing is I can just take like a random 2 drop that's not very good. Because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We have 11 1 and 2 drops. That's a lot. Do we really need this Bold Adventure? I think we don't. I think we just cut the Bold Adventure here. Yeah, alright. In this case, we drafted a lot of... Oh, actually, we have 2 Horu Banner here. That makes splashing Flash Freeze really easily. Oh, you know what? I didn't think about this, but this could be the trick that we need to finish the game. Like, if we cut our 7/6 drops, put in all our 2 and 3 drops, and then just have 2 Flash Freezes in our deck to basically... I mean, as long as we stun our opponent 2 or 3 turns, a deck this aggressive should theoretically win the game. Like, if we just cut the 5 drop, the 6 drop, and the 7 drop, put in the 2 drop again, and then put in 2 Flash Freezes, I wonder if that's sufficient. I wonder if that's enough. That's tough. Well, I'm gonna err on the side of caution. I'm gonna keep the deck the way it is now, that we've designed it now, and play a couple games first. And if this doesn't work out, then we can reevaluate and maybe even tweak our deck. We've never done it before. We've never made a deck, played a few games, and then switched the deck around in the middle of a match, in the middle of a draft. This may be the time we can do that because our deck is actually open to both play styles. 9, so this is 10 and 9, which is 12 and 11. Yeah, that's more than enough. But I think I want more green than I want more time because we have a lot of turn 1 green cards. Yeah, with a lot more turn one green cards. And I know we need double time um as early as 4. We need double time, double time. But with two strangers, I think we'll get double time. I think it's better for us to get green, to have a higher chance to make sure we get green on turn 1 than to risk not getting green but having double time on turn 4, right? Alright, I think this deck's fine. Could be a bit better. I would say that this deck is definitely weak to large units. If some of my opponent has like a Auric Bully and then they put like a Blackguard sidearm onto it and put another weapon onto it, so it's like a 9/7, 9/8 quick draw on turn 3 or 4, then we have no way to beat that. That's our weakest matchup, I think. We are not too great against flyers. We have a bunch of flyers of our own, but our flyers aren't very big. So when my opponent has more flyers that are medium to small size, they will overwhelm us in the air. So we're weak in the air. We're weak against large units. Now that I'm thinking about it, that sounds pretty bad, doesn't it? So yeah, I think the deck is maybe one or two. Like if we can get a Vanquish, that would make a very big difference. If we can get like maybe even just one more bounce spells, or maybe a couple of like Sand Vipers that has deadly and can block on the ground, I think that would make a really big difference as well. But as it is, I think this deck is maybe 7 out of 10, maybe 8 out of 10, depending on how good the draws are. But we'll find out. Let's see how we do.